All right, after a brief break, oh, Jesus Christ. Technical difficulties, kids. Learn from me. If you're gonna actually do something like this, please make sure that your Skype or whatever is working,
Hmm.
especially if you're doing it from desktop. So it's forced me to go mobile mode, which I prefer more anyway. So from here on in, it's gonna be mobile. And thank you very much, Lauren, for your patience. I appreciate it. So
No.
you were actually talking about Abraham Hicks.
Oh, right. So yeah, that one's really powerful. But so like I was just giving three kind of call to actions for if you're looking to learn more about manifestation and the law of attraction. So I would say find teachers. I really like Wayne Dyer, Abraham Hicks, and Gala Darling is great because she's got like super specific action steps. She also does something called tapping, which is really a cool way of manifesting.
Mm-hmm.
And be specific, be super, super specific so it's like undeniable because sometimes we'll ask for something and we weren't specific enough. So we'll get the thing we asked for, but it wasn't really what we wanted. So make it airtight what you're asking for and what you're visualizing and keep practicing it because our brains, as we spoke about earlier, look for ways to confirm what we already believe. So I used to say in high school, if you see it, you can be it. And I still believe in that. Visualize what you want with such certainty that you already believe it's true and the rest of the world's just waiting to catch up. And you will find ways to confirm that with your life.
Oh man, the things that have come my way out of this journey. Oh my God, not just being able to talk to you, a dear friend of mine who actually is a big time YouTuber. In my opinion, he is. He agreed to come on to my show on July 11th. So I'm very hyped for that. And it seemed like relationships that I thought were long and dead, hell has frozen over, and it seems that I've been forgiven to some
Hey.
degrees or another. So I went on Twitter before we actually came on together, and I saw certain people that I knew, and I said, "Oh my God, hell has finally frozen over. There's a chance that I can talk to him now." All right. Not only that, but I am blessed by way of virtue of certain circumstances. Like, I've already touched upon this in multiple episodes, but I can give a brief synopsis. As I said, I broke up with my ex, my second. Then things just started coming together almost immediately. I don't know how, I don't know why, but when they started to, my job was literally on the floor. Especially finding out that I went full time with the company that I'm in back in March. What else came? I was blessed enough to see what was it? Peebo Bryson and Regina Bell, the singers of the Latin Whole New World song, live.
Mm.
I said, "Oh my God, this is great!" And then it just blew up, and I became more inspired as I listened to the likes of you, Mary Morrissey, who I'm actually attending her Dream Builder program this week.
Wow.
So we're doing that virtually. So that has been a very huge help. And I'm taking notes for this group that I'm in that's based around dream building. And I've already touched upon my dreams as a dream builder. For anybody that's new to me or would like a refresh, well, one of my biggest dreams, I actually have said this before, and I'll keep on saying it until it actually does come together even more. I actually am striving to move out of my parents' house on my own. I'm not doing it with a spouse this time. And I believe that I'm getting there because I'm starting to take things more seriously, especially as I'm looking to my left. There's a certain amount of money that is going towards getting me out of it. And if I have it my way, and I will, I'm getting out of here by December or next summer at max. That is my goal. That's my main focus, to actually make my podcast, this beautiful, beautiful podcast, which has been my life's saving grace on more than one
Mm.
occasion. I want to build it. I want to have people like Lauren on and make sure that I'm helping them in more ways than one. Not just that, but what else does Zachary Shiloh want by way of the laws of attraction, or what I call God, mercy, in the universe? Oh, I know. Anybody who's listened and actually has been possibly a guest knows that I am yearning. I am very discontented to some degree, as Mary Morrissey would like to say, in this thing called a loving relationship. So I've been receiving signs of what I've been deeming a lady. Lady. And I'm praying that when the time comes, I'll know who she is. But I'm not rushing it because I'm more so focused on getting out of my parents' house. As much as I
Yeah.
love
And we're in a pandemic, so you'd have to like someone a lot to want to go on a date with them right now.
Oh man, if that actually was to had happened to me, I'd probably have my jaw on the floor more than what I was talking about with my ex fiance Melody on our journey together. Because if anybody's listened to that episode or seen our actual YouTube video, you know what's happened by now. And the energy I would like is a mix of Lauren, Melody, and what I have called Winnie the Pooh bear named Arlene. So I'm taking the good energies of women like that and transcending it to what I'm praying will be lady. What else? Mending relationships that I thought were dead. I seriously thought, because of a rant that I actually have in my archive, that certain relationships were long and gone. And again, I'm finding out that I was wrong, and I'm blessed. I'm blessed, and thank you to who actually sent me the request today. I appreciate it, and we will talk soon because I would like you on eventually. The laws of attraction, ladies and gentlemen, like Laura said, is pretty much a like for like. You gotta more so believe that whatever you're looking for will come in a specific time. And if it doesn't come immediately, and trust me, some things have not come my way exactly as I'm hoping for, but they are coming slowly but surely. Don't give up. Please don't give up, because they are coming. You gotta say this or something better. And if not that,
Yeah.
they will be here when it's time. But
And
don't
sometimes
give up.
the things you want aren't actually what you need or what's even best for you or what will make you happiest. Like, imagine this. Imagine I got what I wanted when I moved to LA and I became an actress. I might
Yeah.
never have written a song. How sad would that have been?
Oh
If I
man.
got what I wanted, I never probably would have written a song. I probably never would have produced or hosted a podcast. I never would have probably gotten into public speaking. Like, there's so many trickle down effects that would have happened from me getting what I wanted in that instance. So you have to leave yourself open, because sometimes the dreams you find on the way to your dreams are even more powerful.
I hear you. And that's what I've been rapping for the past few months. We gotta start being more positive, especially given the state of the world we're in. I've actually started using this phrase at the end of every show where I say, we're living in a hodgepodge time. And I took that recently from and people are gonna possibly laugh, but I don't care because people that actually know me know my love of Power Rangers. So I was reading the actual Boom Studios comic book, which was Go Go, I believe, 30. And if you are Power Rangers fans, well, please read that. There's an actual creature called the hodgepodge hedgehog. So I was reading that and I said, "Oh, that sounds exactly about this time that we're living in. Hodgepodge. Okay, let's use that a little bit." And then it just stuck with me. So if anybody from Boom Studios is ever watching or listening to this, thank you very much for the writing, especially you, Ryan Parrott, who I would love to have on one day. Thank you very much.
Manifest.
Yes. And speaking of which, let's see. Social media, my dear, how has that helped and somewhat annoyed you?
Well, I mean, since I'm an independent podcast, without social media, it would be really hard to get a marketing push without spending an immense amount of money. So I'm grateful for it from that perspective. I'm grateful for it because I can connect with listeners that way and share more than I might be able to share on the podcast since I do it all audio. I might switch to audio and video because I figure why not? We're all in lockdown anyway, so it might be nice to do a Zoom along with the audio. But it's been an asset in that way. It annoys me because you can't control how something's received. Like if somebody even sees what you post, I feel like a lot of times vapid things get the most push. And sometimes I'm like, why can't I just be a person who posts a meme of a butt? But I'm not, that's not who I am. And so to do that would be inauthentic. But I think that the thing I've struggled with on social media is that like I do so many different things and people usually like want to follow you for one thing. So I think it's been hard to like accrue the kind of audience I could have because I do so much. And so some people follow me for the podcast, some people follow me for music, some people follow me for funny things, some people follow me for like inspiration. And I'm working on getting people to see like I'm one person that does all of these different things, but I think that that's been hard because a lot of times people like things that are just kind of like the lowest common denominator or that are really simple to understand. And I, like most people, am not simple to understand.
Well, that is very understandable. Well, anybody that's been an actual fan of Black Lions Airspace in the last, I would say, 6 months especially, they know that I was on Twitter under ZACSHI130, and I was known for mainly the pro wrestling world, but I actually did speak on stuff like Power Rangers, my love of music. But when I actually first started Black Lions Airspace, people thought it was just going to mainly be about the pro wrestling aspect of it because I was actually in talks with a friend of mine who actually will be on here in 2 weeks' time, who designed my actual show's logo. So people were saying, okay, let's bring him on. Let's bring on the guy that he's talking to because they're both two good guys. So a friend of mine who's not my show logo designer, he actually gave me this challenge. He said, I give you 7 days. I give you 7 days to actually get your stuff together. And then I goofingly said, I don't know about that. I really don't know if I can do that. And then everybody knows this story except for La. So if you're laughing at this point, just roll along with it. Thank you very much. All right. So my friend, let's just say part of his name is MGB. He had a 5-year-old son who actually was doing podcasts, and he actually said, if he could do it, so can you. I said, okay. He said, I'll give you a month. I didn't even wait a full month. I actually went for it. I said, okay, he's actually telling me that his 5-year-old son, which I already knew was doing the podcasting bit. I said, all right, if the 5-year-old can do it, so can I. If his
Mm-hmm.
daddy could do it, so can I. Anybody that's through me under or above, excuse me, let's actually go with the positive. Above, I said, all right, I'll do it. So this is where my creativity actually came in.
Mm-hmm.
Originally, I wanted it to be under some name that I just cannot remember because I think that name was not powerful enough. So, if anybody can see this shirt, I am a Voltron fan, and that should be also my default picture on social medias. So, the Let's Voltron podcast, which actually has features the likes of your uh, After Buzz TV co-hosts Katie Cohen, Alexis Torres, and the other ones that did Voltron. Brought them on, and then I actually came along sometime after. I wanted to honor my heritage as a black man, but not only as a black man, but as a Voltron fan. So I was thinking about my growth. So I said, okay. And please, ladies and gentlemen, if you actually are listening to this or watching this, watch Voltron Legendary Defender. That's kind of like my life story in a sense. So I always saw myself as Keith from that actual series. He starts off kind of as the loner, but eventually he becomes a leader. And he actually went from red to black. So I thought,
I've never
okay,
seen it.
oh, you should. It's kind of wonky at the end, like the legit final episode, because it feels like a to be continued.
Mm.
But the overall series itself, I would recommend it to anybody. I would recommend it to you. I would recommend it to anybody that is an anime fan. Definitely. So the main character, one of them is named Keith. He becomes the leader of the team eventually, I would say. Originally in season 3, but then he goes away for a pinch and then he doesn't come back until 6. And when he does, it feels right to him. It feels right that he is the leader now. And with me, I felt like I was him. So, what does Keith fly? The Black Lion. Okay. So, what does the Black Lion do? It flies around. And I was thinking airspace. And then Black Lion's airspace. That's how the name came to be. And then I said it on my friend Mag's show with his co-host Paul, which is under the name of Badlands. And I said it in front of my show logo designer Chris, who's coming on in 2 weeks. And I could hear a collective gasp, like, oh, and I knew I actually had something right. And it just grew to the point where I am right now. And I'm still in awe that in roughly 9 days' time, that it's an actual year of podcast.
Mm. Congrats. That's huge.
Yeah, and it's been like now over 100 episodes, and I gotta believe that your parents here, and again, I thank you very much. Let's see, you would be the overall. Come on, Anchor, today. We don't want to keep this lady waiting. Okay, you would be my 134th episode of Black Lions Aerospace Inc.
Wow, that's a lot. So you do multiple ones a week.
Oh, yes, I have. I've done it almost since June of last year. And there will be points in time where I don't do it. And then my work partner, who wanted to know why you came on my show in the first place, he actually was part of talks. And then if anybody's an anime head, there's a character by the name of Ryo of the Wildfire from Ronin Warriors. And his power, as I said, is wildfire. That's my inspiration. That would come like rapid fire. Like you actually were touching upon earlier with the creation of Rise and Glory. Like they came to you in spurts. That is actually what I call wildfire. My
Hmm.
wildfire inspirations. So the most that I've ever done at one time, and I'm looking at Anchor. Thank you very much, Anchor. We appreciate you. Love and support. I believe that from late March, and this is like after you and I started talking legit, it just started coming like one after another, and another. And one of my biggest episodes was inspired by you.
What was
And
it?
it's my 93rd episode, which is roaming around Black Lion's domain with a little Zachary Shiloh, who is my best friend, who's my inner conscience. Like he'll come to me whenever I start crying or feel like I'm in pain.
Yeah.
And I remember that he first came out, I would say, after listening to an episode of Unleashed.
Aw.
And I actually was journal writing after I was done. So what would little Zachary Shiloh say to me right now? And I remember saying something along the lines of, "Oh, hello, you're me. Man, you're tall. You've done all of that stuff. Wow, you're cool." And to wrap it up, I would say something along the lines of, "Yeah, I've done everything like that, but I've neglected you. I'm so
Mm.
sorry, but I'm not gonna neglect you again." And after that, I cried, and I'm almost starting to cry right now. But I'm gonna actually be me. I'm not gonna actually bullshit you. I'm not gonna bullshit my audience either. Everybody that's actually listened to me and knows that I can cry. So he ultimately came to me, I would say, after you and I started talking. And he comforted me because I knew I actually had to make phone calls to certain family members after this pandemic actually started. And lo and behold, almost the next day, I became full time.
Aw.
I became full time actually holding him. And I went to the bathroom and I actually did cry in there for a brief bit because I never thought in my wildest dreams that I would go full time. Never, ever. Given the state of the world we're in, and plus, I've been asking for it on and off. And I actually had to stop believing that I would get it. So, with that said, again, thank you very much because you are part of this journey. And I feel like without you actually saying to your guests or friends, what would your little you do or say? I probably would not be right
Oh, well, that means so much to me, and I'm so happy that that line of inquiry helped you, you know? It's like, and that's the thing. I think all we can do is acknowledge when we haven't been acknowledging them, right? Like, we
now.
can't take back years where we were shoving them down, but we can now, since we know better, face our child self and hold our child self and say, hey, I got you. I'm going to protect us. I'm going to live a life that you're proud of, and I'm going to let you roam free. And so it sounds like you're doing that. So I'm really proud of you.
Oh yes, I do. And he comes out strongest when I'm in nature. I've
Yeah.
actually started walking through this park called Silver Lakes, like I would say last month, a little bit after he came around, and we've never been stronger together. Me
Mm.
and he's my best friend.
Yeah. He's your baby until you have a real baby, if that's something you want to do. Otherwise, you just got to protect your little self your whole life.
Oh, yes, I am, and I'm not letting him go. And it's like I actually said to my first fiance, who was, I guess, 2 episodes before you came, I said to her that I neglected my true self for way too long, and I'm tired of it. I need to be me. I gotta be me. For will or for ill, I'm gonna be me, because anybody who's listened to that episode now or watched it on YouTube, you know the truth by now of who I am, what I am. And I'm not gonna neglect that side of me. I just can't. Especially if I'm gonna have a brand like this. People need to know that people like me exist completely. And if you're interested in it, I suggest you listen to it, because that will probably make me more closer to you or whatever. So I would say, please listen, ladies and gentlemen, if you are an empath, or I can say this out loud, somebody that's lived past lives, I would recommend listening to Black Lions Airspace, episode 132, with my ex-fiance Mel. I'm here for you, everybody who's actually got that style of life to them. And I will not neglect you. I'm open to you. Like Creed would say, with arms wide open. I'm here.
I thought you meant Creed on The Office. I love him. Like Creed would say. What's one of his classic quotes?
Thank you very much. Yeah, we definitely are in the same age range, kids. So I would say that maybe I'm maybe 2 years older. Did you just turn that age that People magazine states you?
Yes.
You just turned that age. Okay, so I actually am 2 years older.
Did you think I was older?
Yeah, I thought you were like my age or slightly older by way of like your actual presence.
Super young.
Yeah, and when I actually found out, I actually was hanging out with my work partner, who I actually call D for short. But no, ladies and gentlemen that have listened to Black Lions Airspace 132, that is not Duncan. That is not Duncan. His name is Dwayne, and he's living. He's not a past life. Thank you very much. Dwayne, he knows about you because I actually shared it. And I lost my junk. I said, "What? She's that age? Like, really? Wow, she looks great for the age that I will not specify on."
Thank you.
So
I'm 70. I just look really good.
Can actually know what my age is and then do the math. So until then, do not bother her about it. Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen.
Well, you seem to be bringing it up a lot. Think people will be less likely to bother if we drop it.
Okay. So we're both in our 30s. Let's just go with that.
Yeah, that's fine. I'm not ashamed of it. Honestly, my 20s, the 20s are not what they are hyped up to be. You think growing up when you're a teenager, like, I can't wait till I'm in my 20s. It's going to be so much fun. Romantic comedies, TV paint it completely wrong. Your 20s are a shit show. You have no idea what's going around. You're punching in the dark. You're trying to grip onto anything you can. The ground keeps falling from under you. When I turned 30, it was like something clicked in my brain, and I was like, oh, I don't have to worry about all that BS anymore. I can start to actually be myself and not wonder if everybody likes me all the time and if I'm doing the right thing and if I'm good enough and if I can just be. And so I think it will probably just increase with every decade. But yeah, I'm definitely not ashamed to be in my 30s. I'm happy that I got out of the hellhole known as the 20s. I made it out alive.
Oh yes, my 20s. They were fun, but at the same point in time, oh man, some
Yeah, they
parts.
were fine, but they're very confusing and racking times, and no one talks about that. It's like, to me, my teen years, because I was blessed to grow up in a house where, my parents loved me. We had enough where I was like never concerned about if there was going to be enough food. I went to school with generally nice kids. And so my teen years were actually pretty great, besides the fact that I was desperately in love with my, I didn't know it then, but gay best friend. But other than that, I was a pretty blessed teenager. My 20s was when the shit hit the fan. So I mean, I think, yeah, happy to be out of it and feeling blessed that I made it through and got the lessons out.
Yeah, I agree. And looking at your guitar is actually inspiring me a little bit. I'm looking at my own guitar, which I have not touched in many, many years. But then I started watching the likes of you messing around with it, and I'm starting to get visions now. Like, okay, if I could just learn a few chords, then maybe whenever I'm feeling in it, then I'll
Yeah,
just mess around with that.
that's where it starts. I mean, the first song I learned to play was Eleanor Rigby by the Beatles. It's two chords. And I figured if one of the greatest bands of all time could write a song with just two chords, maybe I could do it too. So that, let that inspire you. I would say all you need to write a song is, Willie Nelson used to say, three chords and the truth. But for the Beatles, it was two chords and the truth. So
So, what chords were they? I know that.
E minor and C. They play variations of those, but you could just bang E minor, C, E minor, C over and over again.
Okay. So I'm gonna have to listen to this podcast again and actually take notes on that because for some odd reason I don't know why I could start feeling it in my soul, especially by way of that flow state that we touched upon earlier. That maybe I'm gonna start just strumming my guitar whenever I'm feeling the mood because I keep on looking at this doggone thing and it's just like the flow state is perking at it. Like, touch me, strum of me. And okay. And I thought I would actually reach the likes of you about it. And you actually have given me a little bit of advice. So thank you very much. I appreciate it.
You're
So,
welcome. And you also, one other thing, you have to commit to being bad for a year. That's
oh,
the best
yes,
advice that
actually.
somebody ever gave me when I first started playing. They said, playing guitar isn't that hard, but you have to commit to being bad for a year because you're going to suck for a while and your taste level is going to be way higher than your skill level. Push through it. When you get to the other side, you're going to be shocked at how great you sound. But it's going to be bad for a while and you just got to deal with that and keep trying.
Oh, I'm looking forward to it. Matter of fact, I was actually hanging out with my surrogate dad, Raymond, who was actually one of my very first guests on Roaming Around in general. And we were watching an episode of the Brady Bunch where Bobby Brady was actually told that he was absolutely sucked. He was told he sucked by this Glee club that his brother Peter and their sisters Cindy and
Jan.
Jan were in. So the parents decided, okay, let's get this kid some drums, and then he started annoying the living hell out of them, and then eventually he became a saxophone player or a tuba player, and I thought, oh man, this poor kid at that point in time. So I'm looking forward to absolutely sucking for a while because failure, as I've told people, including my second ex fiance, or I am committed to doing. And I believe that's how I became into this flow state, that I accepted that I was going to possibly lose her, that I was going to possibly have to suck at life and learn how to master my domains, no matter where I was. And lo and behold, I actually have, thank God.
Yeah, I think the
So
thing about success is you can't have success unless you're also okay with failure. Because if you're going to risk, there's equal chance of both, right? Like obviously you're going to do everything in your power to ensure success. But you can't have success without other little failures at least, or like failures of other things that led to that success. So if you're actually out in the arena and living life, sometimes you're going to know success, sometimes you're going to know failure. It's about not letting the failure break you and learning from it so that you can do better the next time.
I hear you. Okay, so I believe we've actually touched on what being creative is to you in multiple forms. So no need to really do that one. All right, so as we're getting ready to wrap up now, what are your hopes for the future, my dear?
My hopes for the future are that millions of people hear my music and are inspired by it and feel more able to own who they are, live a truer life, own their own power, use their own voice, and that it helps people feel less alone. And I want that with my music. I want that with my podcast. I want that with the shows I produce. I want to get more into public speaking and write a book. I mean, it's kind of limitless. I mean, at some point too down the road, I want to have a family and own a house. So lots of big dreams. Just going to keep chipping away at them every day, and I'll never give up. So eventually, they're going to have to come to me.
Oh, and I'm very looking forward to your next single. A matter of fact, I saw that there was a brief little glimpse of it, and it actually had the date of June 26th. And I almost wanted to contact you right there and then, but I actually had to keep my mouth shut. So,
Yeah, no previews. You gotta wait. And then spread the
ah,
word, spread the word. Yeah, it's a great song. It's called Like a Bomb. You'll appreciate it because you've talked about your ex relationships. It's when you're at that moment in a relationship when you're like, either we're gonna break up
mhm.
or this massive shift needs to change in you because you've disrespected the relationship in such a way that I don't know if we can recover. I want to recover, but here's the changes you need to make. So it's really a song about setting boundaries in a relationship, fighting for a relationship, but standing in your strength and say, hey, you can't get away with this shit anymore.
Oh, I'm more hyped now. You just gave me a nice little preview. So, no need to apologize. Thank
It's
you
coming
very
out so
much.
soon anyway. And the production on this one is my favorite of any song on the album. It's just my producer did such an incredible job. We sat there together and I watched him put it together. He'd be like, "Hey, what do you think of this?" We kind of collaborated on it, but it's just such amazing production. It completely matches the song, but it takes it to a different level that I never heard when I first played it on my acoustic guitar.
Oh, wow. I am more hyped now than I ever have been after hearing that. Whew. And anybody that's actually have stuck with this show knows that what my reaction was to actually heard other two songs. So
Hmm.
if you actually do have a bottle for liquid, please put me inside when I hear it. Because as a dear old friend would say,
Melton
get the
Zach.
fan, get the fan. Thank you very much. All right. What that also said, what can I do for you, my dear, going forward?
Oh gosh, just keep spreading the good word about my podcast and my music. I mean, that would mean the most to me. Keep telling your friends, tell your family, rate, review, and subscribe, which I think you probably already have.
Oh, yes, I.
Share it on your social media. That would be the biggest help to me in the world. And keep listening,
Okay,
keep
I've
loving it.
actually inserted this new question that I debuted with Mel Mel on 2 episodes ago. All right, I believe in myself with this beautiful podcast called Black Lions Airspace. It is ultimately something I can see myself helping people through. Do you believe that I can help people with this and grow my brand?
Yeah, absolutely. I believe you can help people with this. I think like anything, I mean, with Unleash even, and I've been doing this for years now. Like I first had my first radio show in college. So since then, in some way, I've been doing hosting and producing. But it's still getting better and evolving and changing all the time. So I'm sure there's ways within your show that you can refine it, that you can make it more specific. That's something I'm working on. Like, how do I make it to a more specific audience? Because actually, the more specific you get and the more personal you get, the more universal it becomes, strangely enough. So I think as long as you keep working on it, you're coming at it with a pure heart, and you have a very specific intention, yeah, it's going to happen. It just takes time, persistence, patience, and love.
Oh, yes, I do. And if Dwayne is ever hearing about this, he's actually geeking out to some degree or another because he knows that I actually am passionate about this. I wouldn't shut up about it, and I actually have played it for him a few times at work. So he actually is my hype man to some degree or another, especially when it came to the road to today.
Uh-huh. Cool.
And you've already answered the question of how you actually got on here. So, Dwayne, please actually know that she's come on here genuinely legit because we're all creative. And that's what life is about. And with that said, ladies and gentlemen, we are getting ready to wrap this bad boy up. How can people reach you, my dear?
I'm at Lauren LoGrasso pretty much everywhere, and then laurenlograsso.com, and then at Unleash Your Inner Creative on Facebook and Twitter, at You Are Inner Creative on, wait, no, that's not true, at Unleash Your Inner Creative on Instagram and Facebook, at You Are Inner Creative on Twitter. And then I do have TikTok, but I haven't used it much. It's scary to me, but I'm trying. So hopefully go over there. I have a page for Unleash Your Inner Creative and a page for Lauren LoGrasso.
Oh, wow. You actually have a Patreon.
I do, but oh no, not a Patreon. I have a page for Unleash Your Inner Creative and a page for Lauren LoGrasso. I want to get a Patreon, one step at a time. So many
I'm
things.
I'm kind of skeptic about doing Patreons because that means people will be owning my ass a little bit more.
Well,
But
they own,
maybe one day, if people
yeah,
can actually coach me into a very good, I will possibly consider it.
yeah.
Well,
I need to do more research on it first.
I agree. So do I. Well, folks, anybody that is a fan of this show knows the intro by now. And for anybody that is tuning in for the very first time, I am Zachary Shiloh. I am the proud ambivert host of this show. I am more so on the introverted side of that spectrum, but still, I love people to death. And with that said, we live in such a nasty hodgepodge time. One goal, one road, one aim, one focus. And that's love. That's the only way we're going to beat this stupid shit to death. We're just going to love each other. May you be small, may you be big. I'm open to collaborating with anybody. And it seems like there is a chance that my road to my second season is going to get better. With that said, thank you very much, Lala. I appreciate your help for coming on.
Thank you for
Please,
having me.
please, everybody, especially now more than ever with cities reopening, please be safe out there. Please know that you're not alone, especially if you're feeling like you cannot talk to anybody. I love you deeply. Please take care. See ya.